Hi guys, and welcome back to another story corner with Jasmine, or Jasmine's reading, or let me read you a book, or Jasmine's corner as I've been calling it because I think it's hilarious. We've been making a lot of progress in getting through this book, and I think that's super cool. So why don't we move on to the next story? By the way, we're still in our fairy tales book. Pretty soon we'll move on to something different. I'm probably not going to read every single story that's in this book because, you know, there's a lot that I don't really care about, I guess. Well, not that I don't care about, but that are, whatevs. Alright, we've skipped ahead in the book, and let me make sure that this isn't written, or that this isn't written by someone else. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant to say. Okay, so once again, this book has been illustrated by Annie Claude Martin. I'm hoping I'm saying her name right. This one's a little different. It's The Little Match Girl, and it's by Hans Christian Andersen. That's what his name was before. I kept saying Hans Christiansen or something. This one's a little sad. I think they've made like a movie out of it. Or not like a movie, but like a song out of it or something. All I know is this one's a little sad. So also, it's funny, like my computer keeps trying to, or my camera keeps trying to focus on me, so it's making my hair seem like it's normal vibrant blue, and then it goes to like a really like faded out, like that right there. That's not what my hair looks like. My hair actually looks like that. But it's still funny. It's like I'm a magic being from another place. Anyways, let's get into this. Serious space. It was the last night of the year, New Year's Eve, and it was so terribly cold. It was snowing, and soon it would be dark. Through the cold and the darkness, a poor little girl wandered in the street, with bare feet and no scarf for her head. She had indeed worn slippers for when she left home, but they were not much use. They were very big slippers that her mother had worn before her. They were so big that the little girl had lost them rushing to cross the street in between two cars. One of the slippers was nowhere to be found, and the other was taken by a boy who intended to use it as a cradle when he had children of his own. They were that big? Or maybe he just thought, whatever. The little girl wandered along in her bare feet, which were blue with cold. She was carrying several matches in her old apron and was holding one bundle in her hands. It had been a bad day for her. No one had bought any matches, and she had not earned a single penny. She was very hungry and very cold, and looked very frail. Poor little girl. Lights were glittering from all the windows, and there was a wonderful smell of roasting meat along the whole street. All the girl could think of was that it was New Year's Eve. She sat down and tried to warm herself in a corner between two houses. She grew colder and colder, but she did not dare to go home, for she would have to take back all the matches, but not one penny. Her father would beat her, and besides, it would be cold at home as well. They only lived in a little hut, and the wind blew right through it. Even though the biggest cracks had been stuffed with straw and rags, her little hands were almost dead with cold. A lighted match would at least do some good. Maybe she would dare to take just one out of the bundle, strike it against the wall, and warm her fingers. Okay, so, yeah. Here is the shoe that she lost. Here is her trying to sell the things, and then the next one was just a big page of pictures. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you could see it. There's her, and then like people walking and not really noticing. It's very sad. It's very sad. And so she took one. Whoosh! How it sparked. How it burned. It was a gentle, warm flame, just like a little candle when she held her hand around it. But what a strange light. It seemed to the little girl as if she were sitting in front of a huge iron stove with polished brass knobs, gleaming pots and pans. The fire was magnificent and gave out so much warmth. Sorry, I'm like way down here. The child had just stretched her feet out to warm them when the flame went out. And then the stove disappeared, and she was sitting there with only a little burnt match end in her hand. The girl struck another match, which burned and glowed, and where the light fell on the wall, it became transparent like gauze. The child could see into a room where a table was covered with a white cloth and set with fine china. There was a roast goose stuffed with prunes and apples, which filled the room with a delicious smell. What a surprise! Suddenly, the goose jumped from its plate and rolled onto the floor, straight to the poor girl, with the fork and knife still in its back. And then the match went out, and then there was nothing. Nothing to see but the thick, cold wall. She struck a third match. Immediately she found herself sitting under a magnificent Christmas tree. It was even bigger and more beautifully decorated than the one she had seen through the glass doors at the rich merchant's house last Christmas. 1,000 candles were burning on the green branches. Bleh. 1,000 candles were burning on the green branches, and it seemed as if all the colorful figures were smiling at her. The little girl held up both hands, and the match went out. The Christmas candles rose higher and higher, and she then realized that they were just stars. One of them fell and made a long streak of fire in the sky. "Someone is dying," whispered the little girl. For her old grandmother, who was the only one who had ever been kind to her, but who had died, used to say to her, "If you see a falling star, it means that a soul is going up to heaven." She struck another match against the wall, which made a great light. This time, in the middle of that brightness, she saw her grandmother. She looked so sweet and so shining. "Oh, Granny, take me with you," cried the little girl. "When the match goes out, I know you won't be there any longer. You will disappear, just like the iron stove, the roasted goose, and the beautiful Christmas tree." She suddenly struck the rest of the bundle because she wanted to keep her grandmother, and the matches shone so gloriously that it was brighter than daylight. Never before had her grandmother seemed so tall and so beautiful. She took the little girl in her arms, and they both flew away in radiant joy, higher and higher, until there was no more cold, no more hunger, no more suffering. They were in paradise. Oh, here's a picture. In the cold, early morning, the little girl was still sitting in the corner between the two houses. Her cheeks were red, and she had a smile on her lips. She was dead, frozen to death on New Year's Eve. The New Year's morning rose over her little body, sitting there with the matches, one bundle almost completely burned up. She just wanted to keep herself warm, someone said. But no one knew what beautiful thing she had seen, nor in what radiance she had entered New Year's with her old grandmother. And there are no more pictures. I told you, that is like heartbreaking. That is like the saddest thing I could have ever possibly like read. I mean, like, what kind of life is that? I mean, she like froze to death in like the cold. Like, I mean, yeah, it's great that, you know, she saw all those amazing things and like got to experience some happiness before the end, but that's awful. Like, you're terrified to go home because you don't want to, you know, you don't want your parents to like, or your dad anyway, her dad in this instance, she didn't want him to be upset with her. But I would have done that. I would have gone home. Like, I would have much rather dealt with the consequences of not selling any matches than to sit there in the cold and try and keep myself warm. And that's so sad. That poor little girl. I think it's so sad. It's like the worst like instance of something like that. Like, it's very sad to me, you know? I mean, it's almost like if anybody has ever seen the movie Pan's Labyrinth, like, yeah, it's in Spanish, but you can get it with like subtitles. But it would have been so good if it were real. Like, if she had actually gone into all these places and actually would have done all these great things, and maybe she did. You could argue with me and probably prove me wrong that she actually went into all these magical places and that she actually encountered all these, like, great things. But I will give my one reason why I don't believe it's true. She was in a very bad place, obviously. She was with some dictator guy who was a jerk to her entire, like, family life. And it was supposed to be a good life for her, but she was miserable, so she found a way to escape through her imagination and playing outside and playing in this place where these things exist, where she's supposed to be like a princess or something. Because at the end, whenever she steals the baby, and like, I'm sorry, spoilers, in the end, when she steals the baby and is trying to run away from the bad guy and like get to this place, this labyrinth that she's been going to, he just shoots her. He just shoots her, and then when she's dying, she gets transported into this place that's, oh, you know what, she finally made it. She gets to be a princess again in front of all her, you know, thrones over there. You know, she gets to actually take her place among these people that she's made a life with. No, that was just her dying, and then, like, that was, like, how she perceived what was happening to her. Like, if they made like a sequel and she was actually there, like she was actually in that place, then I would be a little bit happier about it. But it's so sad because it's not true. She was just dying and she saw all these great things that she had been like believing. And it's so heartbreaking. Like, I want those things, like, because I believe in stuff like that. Like, maybe not like that, but like in stuff like that, like that there are things that we don't know about. Like, there could be places that are very similar to that. Not hers. I'm leaving hers out, but like, you know, I want to keep that alive, that those things are real. I don't want to be like, oh no, I'm just imagining this because I'm cold or I'm dying and I'm starting to hallucinate that I'm seeing these things, you know, because I'm nearing the end of my life, and then, oh, well, there it goes. Like, that's awful, because the people that you left behind in the real world, all they see is this, you know, this, what's left over. All they see is what's left over, and it's not good for us. So I don't care what you see in your head. It's left over for us to be in pain because that's what you left us with, which is very selfish. But it's like, why can't that be real? Why can't we be left with, oh, where'd she go? You know, why isn't her body there? Like, she just disappeared because she actually went to this place. You know, like, that's what I want. Like, I want that for them. I want that to be a real thing, you know? Like, if they would have found this poor little girl, or just found, like, traces of her, like, maybe they found, like, the bundle of matches, but she was gone, then I would be like, oh, you know, she actually just went away. You know, like, it's a happy ending that, like, that glosses over the fact that she probably just passed away, but you don't actually have to deal with that because she's not there. And it's, like, a sad way to deal with it, but it's the way that I want to deal with it. Anyways, guys, I think that's enough rambling for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. I know it was sad, and it's not, like, my usual thing to do sad stories, so. But, I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please leave a like. It's, like, right there. If you want to leave a dislike, it's just like right there, just like right beside each other. You can do that. If you want, you can leave comments down below telling me what you'd like me to read next, because if you don't want me to read any more of those books, I have plenty of books. Name a book. If I don't have it, I'll go to the library. I love going to the library. It's like the best thing. Like, I grew up there, so I'll just go get it, or I'll look it up online or something. But also, I don't know if my mouth is keeping up with my words again, because, I mean, I have my settings on something completely different now so that I can live stream very easily, but I just don't know if that's a thing. Anyways, I hope you guys had fun. If you feel like subscribing, you can always do that by clicking the link in the description or just clicking the little button that should be over here in this corner. I always appreciate it. Thank you. We've already gotten like a lot of people who've subscribed lately, and that's really cool that you guys decided to give my channel a chance. Like, I really appreciate that. Like, it's cool just to know that more people are watching and that I can get more people to probably laugh at me, which is kind of great. But anyways, guys, I just wanted to say thank you. And for more things that I've done, you can always just click on any of the links in the description. And anyways, guys, I love you, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye, guys!